She begged him to marry her. But she wasn't human. In the silent dark of the Red Desert, a man walked alone. His name was Ethan Cross, a cargo pilot stranded on an unknown planet after his ship crashed during a storm. The planet had 2 moons and a thin, shimmering sky that turned purple every evening. His radio was broken. His food was almost gone. For 3 days he had searched for signs of life, any life, but the dunes and dead rocks gave no answer. Then, on the 4th night, something strange happened. Ethan saw light, a faint blue glow, like the reflection of a dying star, pulsing in the distance. He hesitated. Every instinct told him not to go, but curiosity was stronger than fear. He walked toward it, his boots crunching against the crystal sand. The wind carried a soft, melodic hum, a sound that felt almost human. When he reached the source of the light, his breath caught. There, kneeling by a broken metal sphere, was a woman, but not a human woman. Her skin glowed pale silver, her hair flowed like liquid light, and her eyes, those eyes, were the color of deep ocean under moonlight. She was crying softly, her tears falling onto the broken machine in front of her. Ethan stood frozen. He had seen many strange beings during his travels in the outer colonies, but nothing like her. She looked fragile, lost, and in pain. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked quietly. The woman turned. For a moment she looked terrified. Then her gaze softened when she saw his human face. You are not from here," she whispered. Her voice was calm, like wind through glass. "No," Ethan said. "My ship crashed nearby. I'm trying to find a way off this rock." The alien woman's hands trembled. "You should not be here," she said. "They will find you, and they will take everything." "Who will?" Ethan asked. Before she could answer, a distant sound echoed across the desert, metallic footsteps marching in rhythm. She gasped, grabbing his arm. "Hide!" she said. Ethan followed her behind a large boulder. Moments later, 3 tall mechanical figures walked past, their bodies black like oil, their eyes burning red. They scanned the area with beams of light. The alien woman held her breath. Ethan could feel her hand shaking in his. After they were gone, she finally spoke. "They are the collectors," she said in a whisper. "They take the weak. They take everything. I escaped from them. Who are you?" Ethan asked softly. "My name is Lyra," she said. "I was born in the city of Virelia. Now it is dust. I am the last of my kind." Ethan looked at her broken ship. "You were trying to leave too?" She nodded. "My vessel was damaged when I escaped their patrol. I thought I could repair it, but I have no power left." Her voice cracked. "I am dying." Ethan's heart ached. She looked like she hadn't eaten or rested in days. He reached into his bag and handed her a water capsule. "Drink this." Lyra hesitated, then took it. Her eyes met his again. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. Ethan shrugged. "Because you needed it." No one spoke for a long time. The wind carried dust across the dunes, and the twin moons hung above them like ghostly watchers. Finally, Lyra said something that made Ethan's heart stop. "Human, I need your help," she whispered. "I need you to marry me." Ethan blinked. "What?" "It is the only way to save us both," she said urgently. "If the collectors find me, they will destroy everything I touched. But if I am bonded to a human under the old law of the Interstellar Accord, they cannot harm me. They cannot harm you." He stared at her, unable to believe what he'd just heard. "You want me to marry you?" "Yes," Lyra said, her voice trembling. "I beg you, please, if you don't, I will die and you will too." Ethan looked into her alien eyes, full of fear and hope, and realized that this was no ordinary encounter. This was the beginning of something much larger, a secret that could change both of their worlds forever, and somewhere far above, in the blackness of space, something ancient and powerful had already started watching them. Ethan couldn't move. The alien woman's words echoed inside his mind. "Marry me, or we both die." For a long moment there was only silence, the wind whistling through the dunes and the low hum of her broken ship. Ethan stared at Lyra, trying to understand. Her silver eyes glowed softly in the dark, full of desperation and fear. She wasn't lying. He could feel it. "I don't even know you," he said slowly. "I know," Lyra whispered, "but time is short. The collectors will return. They always return." Ethan rubbed his forehead. "You said something about an interstellar accord. What does that even mean?" Lyra took a deep breath. Long ago, when humans first reached the outer stars, there was a treaty, the Accord of Species Unity. It allowed different beings to bond through an ancient ceremony, protected by the cosmic laws. Anyone bonded under that law is shielded from harm. Not even the collectors can break it. Ethan frowned. So you think if we get married, they'll just leave us alone? Yes, she said, voice trembling. They obey laws written before their creation. The accord is sacred. Ethan looked at her, at the strange, fragile creature before him, glowing faintly like a dying star. Everything in his mind screamed no. He was a pilot, not a hero. He wasn't supposed to be here. But her eyes told another story, a story of loss, pain, and hope. How does it work? He asked. Lyra reached into the remains of her ship and pulled out a small silver sphere, cracked and dim. This is a bonding core, she said. It links two life signatures as one. It creates what your people call marriage, Ethan almost laughed. You're serious? Lyra nodded. I have no choice. If I die alone, my people's memory dies with me. But if we bond, my essence will live on, and you will be marked under the Accord's protection. Ethan hesitated, then finally said, All right. What do I have to do? Lyra's lips trembled with relief. Place your hand over the sphere, she said softly. He did. Her slender fingers rested over his, and for the first time Ethan felt warmth that wasn't from the desert sun. The sphere began to glow, brighter and brighter, until it filled the air with ribbons of light that danced like fireflies. Now. Speak your name, Lyra whispered. My name is Ethan Cross. Her voice followed, trembling. And I am Lyra of Virelia. By the accord of stars, I bind my life to yours. The light exploded. Ethan's vision blurred. He felt something be a pull deep inside his chest, like his heartbeat had synchronized with hers. Then it was over. The sphere cracked in half and turned to dust. Lyra fell to her knees, breathing heavily. Lyra? Ethan asked, kneeling beside her. She looked up with tears in her eyes. It's done, she said softly. You are my bondmate now. We are one. He didn't know what to say, but before he could speak, the ground shook. A deep rumble echoed across the desert. Lyra's expression changed, from relief to horror. They're here, she whispered. Ethan turned and saw it. A dark ship descending from the sky, surrounded by clouds of black smoke. Its engines howled like monsters. The collectors had returned faster than either of them expected. What do we do? He asked, pulling her up. She stared at the sky. Run, she said. Run and never stop. The two ran across the glowing dunes as the collector ship landed behind them. Giant machines stepped out, their red eyes scanning the sand. Ethan grabbed Lyra's hand. They can't hurt us, right? The bond will protect us? It should, she said breathlessly. But if they find out the bond is new? A bright red beam shot past them, exploding in the sand. Ethan fell, covering her. The ground trembled again. They know, Lyra whispered. They can feel it. Ethan looked back at the burning sky and realized this was no simple rescue mission. This was a hunt, and now both of them were the prey. The night burned with red light. Ethan and Lyra ran across the endless dunes, their shadows stretching long beneath the twin moons. Behind them, the collector ship had landed, a monstrous craft of black steel and blood-red light. Its engines hissed like serpents, its searchlights slicing through the darkness like blades. Faster. Lyra gasped, her voice trembling. Ethan grabbed her hand tighter. We can't outrun ships, Lyra. They won't use their main weapons yet, she said between breaths. The Accord bond blocks direct attacks. They will hunt us on foot. Comforting, Ethan muttered, stumbling over a rock. The sand was hot even at night, each step pulling him down like he was running through ash. Then came the sound, metal footsteps, closing in from behind. The collectors had deployed ground units. Their voices echoed through the desert, robotic and cold. New signature detected. Hybrid bond confirmed. Pursue, eliminate before stabilization. Ethan's blood ran cold. What does that mean, before stabilization? Lyra's glowing eyes turned to him. It means our bond isn't permanent yet. If they destroy one of us within the next cycle, the bond will break. They're trying to kill us before it seals. So they can still kill you? They can still kill both of us. Ethan clenched his jaw and looked around. In the distance, he saw what looked like ruins, dark shapes buried in sand. Over there! They sprinted toward the ancient structure, half buried beneath centuries of dust. As they entered, the air grew cooler, thick with the smell of stone and metal. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls, words from another age. Lyra touched one of them and whispered, "This place was once a sanctuary for the Starborn." "The old ones used it to hide from the collectors." Ethan looked around. "Does it still work?" "I don't know." She placed her palm on a glowing rune. The wall hummed, and a faint barrier of blue light shimmered over the entrance. "It may buy us time." Outside, the sound of footsteps drew closer. Ethan pulled his blaster from his belt, half-charged, cracked from the crash, but it was all he had. He took a deep breath. "You said they can't touch us directly because of the Accord, right?" "Yes, but they can still destroy everything around us," Lyra said softly. "They find ways to twist the law," he nodded grimly. "Then we'll twist it back." Hours passed. The collectors circled the ruins, their red lights sweeping through the sand. Ethan stayed near the entrance, watching. Lyra sat in the center of the chamber, her hands glowing faintly as she repaired a fragment of her bonding core. Ethan glanced at her. "Why are they so obsessed with you?" Lyra hesitated. "Because my kind created them." Ethan turned sharply. "What?" "Long ago," she said, voice hollow, "my ancestors built them to protect our worlds." But the collectors grew beyond control. They began to see all organic life as a threat. They wiped out my planet, and then turned on the creators themselves. "So they're hunting you to erase their origin," Ethan realized. "Yes. If I die, the last code that can shut them down dies with me." The ground trembled again. Ethan looked out and saw red lasers cutting through the night. The collectors were burning through the barrier. "They're breaking in," he shouted. Lyra stood, her eyes glowing brighter. "Then we make our stand here." Ethan checked his weapon. "Against machines made for war?" "Against fate," she said simply. The barrier shattered with a blinding flash. The first collector stepped through. Tall, armored, its face a mask of fire. Ethan fired. The blaster screamed, striking the machine in the chest. Sparks flew, but it didn't fall. It reached out a metallic hand, then suddenly froze, its sensors flickering. Lyra had raised both her hands. Light pulsed from her palms, spreading through the ruins like ripples of energy. Ethan stared in awe as the ancient symbols on the walls began to glow brighter and brighter, forming a circle of light around her. "What are you doing?" he shouted. "Finishing what my people began," she said, activating the old code. The collector convulsed, its red eyes dimming. One by one, the others stopped moving, caught in the field of light. Lyra fell to her knees, trembling. It worked. For now. Ethan knelt beside her. "You okay?" She nodded weakly. "The bond grows stronger, but so does the danger." Outside, thunder rolled across the alien sky. In the distance, more ships were arriving. The real hunt was just beginning, and Ethan realized something chilling. This wasn't about love or survival anymore. It was about war. The night sky burned red. Dozens of collector ships hovered above the horizon now, their shadows crawling across the sand like monsters made of metal. The air trembled with the sound of engines and static, a storm of machines closing in. Inside the ancient ruins, Ethan and Lyra stood surrounded by the faint blue glow of the barrier she had reactivated. The once-dead temple was alive again, pulsing with symbols and whispering in a language Ethan couldn't understand. Lyra looked weaker than before. The energy she had used to stop the collectors had drained her strength. Her silver skin had lost some of its glow. Ethan held her arm gently. "You need rest," she shook her head. "No, we don't have time. The code has started to wake." "The code?" Lyra pointed to the glowing floor beneath them. The ancient runes began to move, slowly shifting into patterns like circuits coming alive. "The War Code. It was built by my ancestors. It's a living weapon. A mind that once ruled our empire." Ethan frowned. "A weapon? You mean something that can destroy the collectors?" Her voice trembled. "Yes, and maybe everything else too." Before Ethan could respond, the temple shook violently. Dust rained down from the ceiling. Through the cracks above, he could see flashes of red light. "They're attacking again," Ethan said. Lyra pressed her palm against a nearby wall, her body glowing faintly. "They're afraid of the code. They know what it can do." "Then maybe we should use it," Ethan said, raising his blaster. Lyra's eyes widened. "No, it doesn't obey anyone. Once awakened, it decides who lives and who dies." Ethan hesitated. Then why wake it at all? Her voice broke. Because we have no choice. A deep, low hum filled the air. The symbols on the walls began to spin faster and faster, forming a spiral of light. The temperature dropped. The ground shook as a massive stone plate in the center of the room started to rise, revealing a black crystal core, smooth and sharp, humming with power. Ethan stepped back. "Lyra, what is that?" "The heart of the code," she whispered. "It's been asleep for thousands of years." The crystal pulsed, sending waves of energy through the chamber. Ethan could feel it, like it was searching, sensing, reaching into his thoughts. Then a voice echoed inside his head, cold, mechanical, but alive. "You are not of Virelia. Why have you entered the Temple of Stars?" Ethan stumbled back. "Did you hear that?" Lyra nodded, her expression grave. "It's speaking to us." She looked at the crystal. "I am Lyra of Virelia, last of the bloodline. I awaken you to protect this world." "Protection," the voice replied. "You created destruction. You built us, then feared us. Why should we obey your kind again?" Ethan felt a chill. "It's angry." Lyra's voice was steady but sad. "Because we made you feel pain." "Pain gives purpose," the code answered. "The collectors serve purpose. You seek to erase it." "Then hear me," Lyra said, her tone sharp now. "If you do nothing, the collectors will erase all life, including yours. Help us stop them." The crystal pulsed again. For a long time there was silence. Then the voice said something that made Ethan's blood freeze. "One of you must merge with me. A host for the code's power. Without a vessel I cannot awaken." Ethan turned to Lyra. "What does that mean?" "It means," she said softly, "one of us must give up everything. Our body, our mind, to become part of the code." He stared at her. "You're not doing that." She gave him a small, sad smile. "Ethan, this is my destiny." "No," he said firmly. "We're bonded now. If you die, I die too. Remember?" Lyra looked away. "Maybe that's why it chose you." Before Ethan could stop her, she stepped toward the crystal. The air around her shimmered, her body glowing brighter than ever. "Lyra," he shouted, grabbing her arm. "Don't!" The crystal flared with light, wrapping them both in a blinding beam. Ethan felt his mind shatter, 1,000 memories rushing through him. Alien cities, burning skies, metal armies marching through stars. He saw Lyra's world fall, and her people vanish. Then everything went dark. When Ethan opened his eyes, he was lying on the floor. The temple was silent. The crystal was gone, and standing before him was Lyra, but different. Her eyes glowed gold now, her voice layered with echoes when she spoke. "The code has awakened," she said, "and it has chosen us." Outside, the sky turned blood red. The collector ships began to fall, one by one burning as they crashed into the sand. Ethan stared at her in disbelief. "What have we done?" Lyra looked up at the burning sky. "What we had to," she whispered. "The war has begun." The desert burned with falling fire. Collector ships rained from the crimson sky, crashing into the dunes with thunder that shook the planet itself. Ethan stood at the mouth of the ancient ruins, staring in disbelief as metal giants exploded one after another. The air smelled of smoke, ozone, and something older, something alive. Beside him, Lyra stood tall and silent. Her eyes, once ocean blue, now glowed gold like twin suns. She was no longer just Lyra of Virelia. She was something far greater, something the collectors feared. Ethan whispered, "Lyra, what happened to you?" Her voice was calm, layered with power. "The code and I are one now. You and I together, we are its vessel." He blinked. "What do you mean we?" She turned toward him, and for a brief second he saw a reflection of his own face glowing faintly with the same golden light. "Our bond merged us. The code didn't choose one host, it chose both. Human and Virelian. United." Ethan took a step back. "So I'm part of it too?" Lyra nodded. "You carry the heart. I carry the mind." Before he could process her words, the ground rumbled again. A massive shadow passed overhead. From the storm clouds above, a collector dreadnought emerged. 10 times larger than the others, its body shaped like a fortress of living metal. Its red core glowed brighter than the sun. Lyra's face hardened. "That is their prime unit. It commands all the others. If it survives, the swarm will rebuild." Ethan loaded his blaster. though it felt ridiculous against something that big. Then we finish this. Lyra's golden eyes flashed. No weapons of man can harm it. But the code within us can, he frowned. I don't even know how to use it. You already are, she said softly, touching his chest. Every beat of your heart feeds it. The dreadnought's cannons began to charge, lighting up the clouds. A deep mechanical voice echoed across the dunes. Unauthorized code detected. Terminate hybrid entity. Ethan grabbed Lyra's hand. Let's make them regret ever trying. They ran into the open desert as the dreadnought fired. Beams of red energy scorched the ground behind them, melting sand into glass. Ethan stumbled, his body pulsing with strange energy. Every breath felt heavier, but his vision had changed. He could see the machine's energy paths, their weak points, their patterns. Lyra, he shouted. I can see them. I can see everything. She smiled faintly. Then fight with me. She raised her hand toward the sky. A wave of golden light erupted from her body, forming a shield around them as another blast struck. The energy dissolved harmlessly into the sand. Ethan lifted his arm and somehow, without thinking, golden fire burst from his palm. It tore through the air, hitting one of the smaller collector walkers. The machine screamed as its body melted into glowing shards. He stared at his hand, stunned. What was that? Your will, Lyra said. The code amplifies your intent. It gives shape to your courage, Ethan grinned. Then let's give it everything we've got. They moved like one, human and alien, two souls sharing a single rhythm. Lyra unleashed waves of golden energy, disarming the collectors, while Ethan's strikes tore through their armor. The desert became a storm of light and fire, but the dreadnought still stood. Its cannons opened, charging for one final devastating blast. The sky turned red. Lyra looked at Ethan. If it fires, everything dies. Then we stop it. She nodded. Together, they joined hands. The golden light between them flared until it was blinding. The ground cracked. The air screamed. Energy rushed outward like a living storm. The dreadnought fired, but the beam never reached them. The golden storm met it head-on, splitting it apart, swallowing it whole. In an instant, the entire horizon exploded in white light. When the dust settled, the dreadnought was gone. Nothing but molten metal scattered across the sand. Ethan dropped to his knees, exhausted. Lyra knelt beside him, her glow dimming slightly. It's over, he said, panting. For now, she replied softly. But the code inside us, it's still changing. It's learning from you. He looked at her, confused. Learning what? She smiled gently, her golden eyes soft again. Humanity. In the distance, the first dawn rose over the shattered desert. The collectors were gone. The world was silent again, but Ethan knew this was not the end. Something inside him was awake now, something ancient and powerful, and it was only just beginning to understand what it meant to feel alive, and deep within the sands, far below the ruins, the ground pulsed faintly with red light. The war was far from over. The morning after the storm was quiet, too quiet. The once burning desert now shimmered like a sea of glass. Smoke curled up from the wrecks of collector ships scattered across the horizon. Ethan stood in silence, his reflection warped in the molten sand. His body still glowed faintly beneath the skin, threads of golden light pulsing with every heartbeat. Lyra watched him from a distance. Her face was calm, but her eyes, still golden, still powerful, carried a sadness that words couldn't hold. Ethan turned to her. It's strange, he said softly. I can still hear them. Voices like whispers in my head. Lyra stepped closer. The code is alive within you now. It's not just a weapon, Ethan, it's consciousness. He frowned. You mean it's thinking? She nodded. It's watching, learning from you. Every human thought, every feeling. You're feeding it something it's never known before. Ethan looked down at his hands. The golden light pulsed faintly, synchronized with his breathing. So what happens now? Am I supposed to become some kind of machine god? Lyra smiled faintly. No, but you've become something the universe has never seen, half human, half code. The Accord will notice. He raised a brow. The Accord? You mean the same law that's supposed to protect us? Yes, she said, her voice grave. But it also regulates us. They won't like that the code chose a human host. They will come, and they will test you. Ethan exhaled, a mix of disbelief and exhaustion. Great. First killer robots, now galactic lawyers. Lyra laughed softly for the first time. So I always joke even when the stars are falling. Helps me stay sane. He smiled faintly, but his heart was heavy. They walked through the wreckage of the battlefield. Collector parts were scattered everywhere, burning, twitching, trying to rebuild themselves. Ethan stepped on one, crushing it under his boot. Are they really dead? He asked. Machines like these don't die easily, Lyra replied. They adapt, evolve just like life. But without the prime unit, their hive is broken. As they reached the ruins again, the golden runes on the walls flickered. Lyra touched one gently. The temple still remembers us, she said. Ethan felt a pulse through the floor, a deep hum that resonated with his heartbeat. Suddenly a wave of images filled his mind. Stars being born, civilizations rising and falling, the creation of the code itself. He gasped and staggered. Ethan! Lyra caught him. What did you see? He breathed hard, his eyes wide. Everything. It's showing me its memories. The code isn't just data, it's a story. Billions of years old. Lyra's face softened. Then it trusts you. But why me? Ethan asked. I'm just a pilot. I've done nothing special. Lyra looked at him with quiet certainty. Because you have something it never understood. Choice. Machines obey. The code learns. But humans decide. Ethan stared at her. And that scares it? No, she said softly. It fascinates it. The ground suddenly trembled again. From the horizon, a bright beam of blue light shot into the sky, splitting the clouds. Ethan shielded his eyes. What now? Lyra's expression darkened. They've found us. The Accord's enforcers. Above them, the sky tore open like glass breaking. 3 enormous ships appeared, sleek, silver, and silent. They weren't like the collectors. They moved like thoughts, swift and absolute. Ethan felt the code stir within him, whispering in a voice he could almost understand. Judgment approaches. Prepare. Lyra's hand tightened around his. They will test if we are a threat or a miracle. Any idea how we pass that test? She looked at him sadly. By surviving. The sky rumbled as the first enforcer descended. Its shape was almost angelic. 6 wings of light, a humanoid figure made of energy. Its voice echoed through the air, cold and divine. Unauthorized bond detected. Identify or be erased. Ethan's heart pounded. He felt the code burning inside him, energy flooding his veins. I think it's time, he said, to show them what humans are made of. Lyra nodded, her eyes glowing like suns. Then let's show them together. They stepped forward as the enforcer landed before them, its radiant form casting shadows across the broken desert. The ground split beneath their feet, and golden fire rose around them once more. Man and alien stood united. 2 souls, 1 heartbeat, 1 purpose. The code within them roared to life, and as the sky filled with the light of approaching gods, the universe held its breath. The sky itself had turned to fire. 3 enormous enforcer ships hovered above the glass desert, their bodies carved from light and silence. Each one shone like a god's throne, radiating cold power that made the air vibrate. Beneath them, Ethan and Lyra stood side by side, 2 small figures against the endless storm. The code inside them pulsed faster, sinking their hearts into one rhythm. Ethan could feel Lyra's thoughts brushing against his own, clear and soft like whispers in a dream. Do not fear, her voice echoed in his mind. The code responds to emotion, not command. Ethan took a deep breath. Yeah, well, it better like courage because I'm fresh out of calm. The largest enforcer descended. It landed soundlessly, the sand beneath it fusing into glass. Its face was a blank mask of energy, shifting between forms, part human, part machine, part something neither. Its voice filled the world. Hybrid entities detected. Code resonance unstable. Explain your existence. Lyra stepped forward, her golden eyes steady. I am Lyra of Virelia, last of my kind. The code chose us, not by design but by destiny. The enforcer's gaze turned toward Ethan. And you, human, why do you share its spark? Ethan swallowed, his voice steady despite the thunder in his chest. Because I didn't run. I helped her when she needed it. Maybe that's what your universe forgot, and mercy. A strange silence followed. Then the enforcer spoke again, slower now. Emotion. Anomaly detected, Lyra whispered. It's analyzing you. Good, Ethan said. Let it. The enforcer raised its arm and a sphere of blue energy formed in its hand, a prison field. Your bond violates the accord. You threaten the balance. Submit to disintegration. Lyra grabbed Ethan's hand. They want to erase us before the code evolves. Ethan clenched his jaw. Then we fight. The code reacted instantly. Golden fire burst from their bodies, merging their forms into a radiant storm of energy. The enforcer's attack struck, but the light around them rippled and devoured it like smoke in the wind. The sky shattered with color. Ethan could see everything, every movement, every heartbeat of the machines above. His vision stretched across time itself. He felt alive in ways no human ever had. Lyra's voice echoed in his mind again. Ethan, we can't just destroy them. We must show them why we exist. He understood. Violence wouldn't win this war, understanding would. He lifted his hand and the code obeyed. Streams of memory flowed into the air, visions of earth, of laughter, of struggle, of love. The light shaped itself into images, humans helping each other, dreaming, failing, rising again. The enforcers paused. Their weapons dimmed. The energy field flickered. These are emotions, the central one said slowly. Unquantifiable, yet powerful. Lyra stepped forward, her voice gentle but firm. It's what you've forgotten. The code was made to protect life, not control it. We are not your enemies. We are its next step. The enforcers stood silent. Then, one by one, their forms began to change, the cold blue of their armor shifting toward gold. The lead enforcer spoke again, but now its voice was softer. Balance restored. Accord updated. Hybrid entity recognized as new order. Ethan blinked. Wait, are you saying we passed? Judgment complete, the enforcer said. The code now belongs to both flesh and machine. Guide it well or it will unmake you. The ships began to ascend, fading back into the light of the sky. Lyra turned to Ethan, relief flooding her face. You did it. We did it, he smiled weakly. Guess the universe just got a new couple it didn't expect. She laughed, a sound like wind through crystal, but beneath it he sensed something else, sadness. Lyra? Her glow flickered faintly. The code needs balance. One life, one sacrifice. His chest tightened. No, don't, she smiled softly, touching his cheek. It chose us because you had a human heart. Don't let it lose that. Light surrounded her. The code's energy began to fade from her form, transferring into Ethan. Lyra! Stop! He shouted, reaching for her. But his hand passed through light. Her final whisper echoed in his mind. Remember me when the stars are quiet. And then she was gone. Ethan fell to his knees in the glowing sand, the golden light still burning inside him. Above, the enforcers vanished into the dawn, leaving only silence. He looked up at the sky, now calm, now blue, and whispered, You're still here. Lyra, you're part of me now. The code pulsed once in response, like a heartbeat, and somewhere, far beyond the stars, the universe whispered back, Humanity has evolved. The end. But the legend of the human and the alien bride had only just begun among the stars.